popular. Oh, everyone loves me.
I'm busy.
Such a big deal. Right. Are we back, baby?
Well, to touch this, we are back. Welcome back, guys, to the Perk Pace podcast.
Woo!
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Not too long, but...
Well, long enough for us to move house.
Mm-hmm.
New pad. New joint, which is really far away from the old one.
10 metres.
Yeah. But yeah, welcome back. Hi, everyone.
Should we start with the usual?
Yes, it's going for coffee. We're going to carry on with the coffee. Honestly, this smell, I think this might be the best smelling coffee I've ever smelled, and I don't say that lightly. It smells sweet, bag of sweets, floral.
Banana,
well done. If anything, I feel like it smells like you when you walk into a Lush shop.
Yes, fragrant. Smells very fragrant.
That ASMR sipping action.
Oh yeah, for everybody that's not watching but listening.
We're slurping. I don't have many rules when it comes to coffee. You know I don't. I'm always like, I don't care, do what you want. I feel like there is some kind of rule that if the coffee comes in a tin rather than a bag, I think you know it's special.
It's well thought.
This is premium shit, this is. What do we think, lads?
I love it. Probably one of my favourite ones.
Ian's pulling a face. Ian, talk to us.
Today.
We all of us ran quite far this morning, and Ian's basically falling asleep in his chair.
I ran 15k with Matt and I couldn't keep up.
Matt nearly broke his ankle on the run.
Did you?
No, did I? I fell down a pothole. Well, not my ankle. I nearly broke my back.
Exactly. Nearly turned into a rescue mission.
Yeah.
I bumped into the lads on my run as well, because I'm not going to try and keep up with these boys. I'm not stupid. So I bumped into them, and I could see them from miles away, because Ian's wearing like bright pink shorts. And that was fun.
Yeah.
Running friends.
That's lovely though. I really like it.
I think it's delicious. I think it's really, really sweet. It tastes like it's got this bag of sweets, and I can't put my finger on which sweet, but like... So this coffee is from Campbell and Syme Roasters. Hi guys, thank you very much. I have an ongoing relationship with these guys. They supply guests to the shops quite a lot.
Nice.
They're based in London. They've got it down as an experimental lot, and it is from Colombia. Obviously the reason this is so sweet is it's a 72-hour blackberry co-ferment process. So obviously there's been blackberries fermenting with the coffee for 72 hours before they have...
That makes sense.
...roasted it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I was getting very, very sweet, juicy. I don't think my palate's good enough to put my finger on blackberry. But then they say cherry, cola and fizz. And you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that bag of sweets
so
taste.
Nice.
Yeah, really nice. Thank you, guys. Send us some more of this, please.
Great way to kick off the new few episodes, yeah.
What are we going to chat about today?
Viva La France.
Yeah, man. So I think the last time we recorded a podcast, we were like, yeah, we're going off to Toulouse. We're both going to compete in Hyrox.
Yeah.
And then we'd obviously decided to take a little break afterwards. But today we thought we'd tell you all how it went and have a little chat through the race, the whole weekend in general, actually, because we had some fun.
We did. What did you think about the city itself?
That was beautiful.
I really liked it.
You were saying it took you by surprise.
Yes, I thought it was... You know when you go somewhere or you go abroad, and this might just be naivety, but you don't think much is going on, because it is in the south of France, but it's probably an hour or two, if my geography's right, away from the French-Spanish border.
Yeah.
So it's not super south like Nice or somewhere like that. So I didn't think there'd be much going on.
You thought it was going to be quite provincial?
Yeah, I thought it was like basically nothing there, pretty, mundane sort of thing. But I thought it was beautiful. It
was pretty happening, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they call it the Pink City.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the buildings have got that pink hue. And you know what? Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
It was stunning.
And there was loads going on, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Like, we'll probably talk about it, but we went to like loads of cool restaurants.
I feel like we had a very like sports weekend though, because obviously like we got there and then like when we get there, obviously it's chill time because you're racing like the next day. And then after you've raced, we're not really like going all out celebrating because I'm racing the next day.
We had two pretty intense days of like
sports.
There
was a lot of carbs.
My God.
The pizza.
We need to put some pictures up of this.
Yes.
The fucking pizza.
So the night we got there,
Was it the? Yeah,
It was the night we got there, and like I'm hunting down pizza because that is my go-to carb, and I'm googling it, and it's meant to be one of the best pizzas in Toulouse. And we turn up to this place, and we managed to get in. There's a massive queue, which is always a good sign. And we sat down, and we had two options, didn't we? They're like, "Do you want the normal sized pizza or the grande?"
Yeah.
And Ian goes, "Grande." Fuck me.
This pizza was the size of a car wheel. It was huge. It was like this big.
It was massive.
Yeah, I've got my arms out for everybody that's listening.
I've got a picture of Matt actually in front of the pizza, which I think we should share because it is absolutely huge.
It is massive.
I don't think a single one of us finished our pizza, did we?
Ian definitely didn't.
No.
I mean, I did because I'd finished most of yours.
No, you had a slice of mine.
Which was about half the pizza.
But I just want to put it out there that
serious.
like the three of us can put food away.
Yeah.
We can eat.
It was
And I don't
serious.
think I've ever been beaten by a pizza before.
I think
Mine had a whole allotment on there.
It did.
had a whole garden.
It was called the garden party, wasn't it? And it was a garden party.
Yeah. It was serious, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, Toulouse was cool. Toulouse was really cool.
Really, really good.
Yeah, and then so Matt raced first.
Yeah.
Matt
so
raced on the Saturday.
I raced on the Saturday morning.
It was early doors, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've been quite lucky because I'm always first out.
That's what
sort of
happens when you're like a fast male.
8:30. Wow.
Yeah.
Getting there. So the day before, like even traveling and do you know what? I'll take a few steps back because like I think it's good for people to hear about like the week before.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back even further. So I said towards the end of last year that I wanted to get back into racing, and at that point, up until when I actually raced, it was 18 months since I actually stepped competitively to do any sort of racing. I'd obviously kept myself fit, but like we said in previous podcasts, I'd had a bit of a weird sort of a shit year with everything going on, and you know,
It kind of took a back seat, didn't it?
yeah, it did. It took a back seat, and then you know that itch was always there to just get back and race. And I think I needed it mentally as well because I was putting so much pressure on myself with other areas of my life that you know we started doing this podcast and the momentum and the energy was really good, and I was like, oh, I'm getting my mojo back. And then,
But when you said you were going to race, then the like us combined both saying, right, let's race in Toulouse.
Yeah.
How long was that? It wasn't that long.
No, it was only
9 weeks.
Yeah, 9 weeks. Yeah.
I'd been prepping for it for longer. I knew I was going to race around about that time. So like 9 weeks isn't all that long to turn it around.
I didn't do anything crazy. Coach myself. Like I didn't have a coach or anything, and it was 9 to 8 weeks. I knew that I had some sort of base fitness, but to be honest, my training for the whole of 2024 was just, I was like what I call floating. I was just going in the gym. I was doing a bit of upper body, lower body, keeping fit, doing some random runs, right? But then when I had this goal, I was like, right, okay, well, the only way I can fit the amount of work to get the stimulus and the adaptation that I'd like to have to do well was make sure I had a really big base. So my base fitness was as high as it could be. So that then at least I gave myself the opportunity to be like fit to race hard. I take really well to faster base work. Faster based? Yeah, that's not a word. Faster base work. So I knew.
What do you mean by faster base?
So
work?
like threshold stuff. So
Right.
I know that if I could get my fitness level up here, then my capacity to do more work at threshold would be higher. And I always take well to, you know, like doing really faster Ks off a minute or whatever. So I knew that was in my wheelhouse, and I'd already been, you know, fairly strong. I was at my heaviest, which we'll talk about in a minute, but has its pros and cons. So I was like, well, I just need to just sharpen the knife really, because in my head, you know, I set myself a crazy goal. I was like, I want to run as close to 60 minutes as I can, because I still do believe that I can get there.
100%.
And you know, we'll talk about it in a minute, but perspective is everything, and you know, a lot of people are racing like 5-6 times a year. So race experience was definitely lacking. I had a good taper week, kept my intensity high, dropped the volume, felt good, and yeah, was just ready to race. And then obviously the day before we didn't really do much, just ate loads of carbs and enjoyed the city. And it was weird because I think that I haven't had this before, and I honestly genuinely had it in Toulouse, is I felt really calm.
Right.
Like, in other races, I'd almost be like shitting myself. And I like that feeling, you know, the natural adrenaline that you get when you're on the start line. Excuse me. But this time I was like, I was just very content to be there, if that makes sense. So,
And do you think that worked in your favour?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm going to come on to. Yeah, yes and no, because I think, you know, after the race, and you know, running 69 after 8 months out, it's, you know, it's not on my terms, it's not great. But when I look at it from, you know, in hindsight, with the time out that I'd not raced, it was my first one back. I was going to make mistakes. You know, it's a good benchmark now, and I know where I went wrong, and I know what went well, and I know what I need to change. So, but the promise that I made myself in November and December, to just be like, Matt, you've got to do what makes you happy, like get back out there. And that is completely different to my old mentality of like, if I do not race well, my life's over and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, I was just really happy that I put that work in, because I knew that I was in the best place I could be given the time that I had. And then the race itself, let's
talk about the morning of before we get there. So your start time was 8:30.
Yeah.
People will be interested to know things like, what time did you get up? What did you eat?
Yeah. So get up. I think we got up about 2 hours before actually needing to be there, because we were only like 30 minutes away in a taxi. Wouldn't do anything different in terms of like a meal. So I had just like loads of cereal, banana, some orange juice, get some sugar in my system. And yeah, just got ready. Felt good. Legs felt good. I had a good night's sleep, which was a good sign.
The taxi there.
Yeah.
It was
oh
a
God,
party.
yeah. It was a party, wasn't it? Oh my God, do you remember that? God.
So we got in with the the taxi driver, and like, what was he? He was listening to something, and you were like, "This is killing me, man!"
Yeah, because I need to get into the vibe like before.
And the taxi driver just handed you his phone.
Yeah, he just gave me his phone, and I started whacking on like Phil Collins.
Legend.
Yeah,
the taxi driver just goes, "Legend."
Legend in the internet, legend. That's such a bad accent.
And it's like pitch black, 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And we're just like rocking out to Phil Collins
and we're going down the motorway, so it was even better.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a legend. And then when we pulled up to the arena, he was like, "Are you racing?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yes." He was like, "Good luck,
yes!
Good luck." And he was like, he said something about he was a coach or something, or
no, I thought that was a different one. We had a lot of really good taxi drivers, actually.
A lot of Teslas as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
and then we spoke about this before, but what I like to do is just get in there, have a look, walk around the venue. Luckily, because I was first off, the place was pretty much empty, so you can have a good look around, find out where your bearings are, stations wise, and then just went outside just to try and keep the heart rate low. Felt good warming up, did a few strides and stuff outside. And then went back in just before my call time to warm up properly indoors. So quick push of the sled just to get some sort of intensity in the legs, get the blood flowing. I did like 100 meters on the ski erg again, just to get my heart rate pumping. I don't do anything crazy. I'm not like one to go in and
there's some people in there
they're like
ages.
doing a workout. Yeah, I think that's just a vanity metric. And then we were good to go. Half 8 I was off. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I have to say, like, I felt nervous watching you. Yeah. It was such a nerve-wracking experience, because, like, when you know something, when you know how hard somebody's worked, and when you know what it means to them, and then, like, we'd kind of talked before, like, a bit of strategy, like sort of numbers and where you wanted to be at what time. So we were taking that seriously. I was taking that seriously. Like, I had my watch set to do a workout so I could see overall time. And then I was setting the stopwatch on my phone for stations. But actually, Hyrox have updated their like app or whatever it is. So actually it's live updating in front of you. So as you were running into the rock zone, it would update and it would tell me what your last lap was, even before I could then see you at the station. So that was cool. That was exciting, because like the first few runs, I could see that you were absolutely like perfectly on pace. So I get to just say to you, like, fucking perfect, man. Like, keep it up. But like, how did like the first run and the ski feel to you?
It felt good. I think my approach was always going to be, because I'd always done this before, is I'd always gone out way too hot. I knew my fitness was there, and I was like, right, I'm just gonna honestly just try my best to settle, because I think with every race you have to try and see what works. And being back on it again after 18 months, I was like, I know the race well, I know the setup, etc. So let's try something not a little bit different, but just something different in terms of the approach. So the first K was longer than a K, so it came out like 4:20, 4:30 something. Getting into the ski, my intention was to pull like 4:05, without my heart rate going through the roof, which was fine. I think I pulled like a 4:12 or something. Got out the rock zone really quick, felt good. And then my next run after that, I think, was like a 3:47. Maybe a little bit too quick for what I wanted. I probably wanted it to be about like 3:50, 3:55 ideally. But again, felt really good. And then going into the sled push, I had an absolute fucking mare. Don't know why. I was not an excuse at all, but I was nursing like a bit of a Achilles tendinopathy or tendonitis that I've had for ages. But was quite mindful of that. But just got to the sled, and it was just like the lactic in my calves just really got high. So I was taking way more breaks than I should have. I think I was braking like every 5 meters, let alone a little bit further than I'd usually probably do. So I ended up doing like 4 minutes on the sled, which I've never ever done. I think before, like, my sled time is like 2:30. So when I think about that after the end of the race, it's like, well, that's 2 minutes off the time in itself. But Matt, go on.
I was going to say, I think from like our perspective of watching it as well, like because we were aware of like the Achilles thing, we were like, is he in pain? Is that why he's stopping? But then actually in hindsight, for me, like watching it and supporting, actually I should have just asked you, because there's like 2 points at the sled where you're basically by the people that are watching you, and like, because I knew that it was coming out slow, and I should have said, are you in pain? Because if you'd said no, I should have said, well, fucking pick it up then. But like, it's funny, isn't it, like hindsight, because all we were doing is we were sat there going, he must be in pain. And then we were thinking, is he going to finish the race? Like, he must, like, his Achilles must be fucked. So like, actually, like I said, there's nothing stopping you from just being like, are you all right? Because if not, let's fucking go.
Let's tell me. Tell me.
But yeah, that was interesting, that one.
Yeah.
What about the run after that then?
Yeah, well, the run after that, I knew that I had to really try and pick it up or just stay on pace. And I knew in my head, my sled pull's really quite strong. It's one of my better stations, which is interesting, because for a lot of people it's an absolute stinker. But yeah, I think I ran like a low 4, like a 4:04 or 5, which is a bit off pace, but you can still run low 60s off that. So I was like, well, don't panic. And my heart rate was fine. I was looking at my heart rate quite a lot. So I knew that I wasn't gassing or anything like that. Came into the sled pull. I must have took about 10 places back on that straight away, like
rapid.
Flew through it, which gave me some really good confidence, because I could see everybody just dying and staying like forever. Felt good going off that. Again, another low 4 run on the second one after the sled pull. Burpees, I thought I went quicker than I did. I think I did 4 minutes, which again is slow, right?
But it's funny because you didn't look like you were going slow.
Is it. Yeah. So in my head, I was pretty consistent going through the burpees. But it came out as 4 minutes, which I was quite shocked about, because it should be like high 2s, if not low 3s.
So what do you think you'd do differently based off that?
Well, so looking back on it now, I was obviously being really mindful not to blow up. So
it's hard to know though, isn't it? At what point do you just go, fuck it, let's go?
It's a real mind fuck in the race, because it's like you've got to pick your poison quite early. You either, go semi hard on the stations, but then know that you have to really work on the runs, and you're saving yourself for the runs. But do you do the other way around, where you take your time on the run to conserve a bit of energy, but you smash the stations? Because I looked at some people's results who let's say ran like a sub 65. Their runs were slower than mine,
Yeah.
So, but their stations were a lot quicker.
Right.
Clearly. So it's which one do you do? It's, you know, obviously you can if you're fit enough, don't get me wrong, but you can't go hard on
all of it,
on everything. Yeah.
But then how much of that then is down to this race experience that you talk about?
Yeah, big time.
And
Yeah,
knowing what each station should feel like, and like, okay, we're at this point, so I should be feeling like this at this point.
Yeah. But like another good example is you know, when I got through to the rower, looking back in hindsight, when you've relaxed and reviewed it all, I wasn't rowing hard enough. I was just like chilling, but I was using that chilling as like probably an excuse to be like, oh, you all right? Well, of course you're all right, because you're not fucking rowing hard enough.
That was the moment where you looked at me and said, I feel good.
Yeah.
And then I said to you, okay, let's fucking go then.
I know, but and this
but
is,
like,
I should have just.
Nah, but you know what, as well, like I don't know, like it's the first time I've watched a Hyrox, and also now having spoken to you afterwards, like I would I would participate differently.
Yeah.
Like I would talk to you differently. Because I went, all right, then let's fucking pick it up.
I know.
But I could have been like, no, let's fucking pick it up, you know?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Because when I look at it now, I think that I was too cautious throughout the whole race. Because when I looked at my heart rate data, it never went above 167, which is like, that's cushy for me. I could hold a heart rate of 160 for a long time. Yeah. So that's how I know I wasn't pumping. So I think my biggest lesson from it is that I didn't trust myself enough to go hard enough because I was probably too cautious about blowing up.
But it's so scary.
Yeah,
having been there and having blown up,
yeah.
I get it.
So yeah, there you go.
Okay, so but then in the end you got the back end of the race. Farmers.
Yeah, Farmers was a good one. It was
blasted through that.
Sub 2 minutes. Yeah, 150 something. Which is it's not bad.
What were your runs like after that? Remind me.
They were getting slower. They were like 4:10, 4:15s.
Yeah.
Which is not really what I wanted. But again, you're at the back end of like over an hour race, and you know, I was fatiguing clearly, so it was one of them. But when I looked at my run data, it was the fastest I've ever ran.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like on average over the 8 stations, because usually I've had mares where I've ran like 4:30s for the last, you know, one. Lunges was good. I felt strong on the lunges. But again, really surprised. It came out 4 minutes.
I thought the same. Obviously, we'll talk about mine afterwards, but I thought the same because I didn't stop. Because normally I stop and shake my legs off and stuff like that. I didn't stop. I was consistent the whole way through, and it came out slower than I was expecting.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I was happy with is my rock zone time. It was like 4 minutes.
Yeah, man,
like
you were out of it.
Yeah, it was out.
Yeah.
That's probably because you were just like, get fucking...
So I said that because I...
Move, Matt, yeah.
That walk around in the morning before your race, I kind of realised this is a big rock zone.
Yeah.
And then
it was a 2-lap... No.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It was a two-lapper.
Two-lapper, yeah.
But also the way it was laid out as well, like they weren't cramping. Even the stations were big. Yeah. So like I know on the one end, the ski's really far away and the run out of the ski is going to feel really long. But equally, the other end is the lunges and I know what that lactate feels like and I know that you've got a really long way to go. Yeah. So I got myself to the end and I was like, get the fuck out the rock zone!
Get the fuck out! And the good thing was, I was going past people and they were just like, and I was like, nah, mate, I'm off.
Because I just think like it helps. I mean, it helped me a lot to have that reminder because that's the heart. Just get out the fucking rock zone. No, you were rapid in the rock zone.
Yeah. So that was a positive, and then just came into the wall balls, and I think I did like 4:55 minutes, which again for me is slow. I think it's weird because I usually...
How were you feeling then at that point?
I shouldn't say it, but I was feeling fine.
Right.
And that's what I think is it's not confusing. It's just that I clearly know that there was, you know, it's the race experience of and trusting myself that I can go hard without blowing up. Because I think, you know, ultimately subconsciously in my mind I was like, you know, you've had 8-9 weeks to prep for this. You know, the worst thing you can do is go out there and think you're Billy Big Bollocks again and, you know, absolutely blow up and even pull out of a race. You know, I've never pulled out of a race in my life, but that fear of like, you know, you've got to do this, you've got to perform.
But it is scary. Like, I've been there and I've blown up really early and had to just hold
It's
on.
fucking
And it's
vile.
the worst feeling ever.
It's
So,
horrible.
but I think,
So
yeah, I guess, it's race experience. So, okay, so yeah, the beauty of hindsight, what are you going to do differently? And you mentioned weight as well.
yeah, so I was the heaviest I've ever been. I was like 87. I was 88.7 kilos, so nearly 89 kilos. Did I feel it? Yes, probably.
Well, like as you're slowing down on the runs later, you think that might be why?
And even like burpees and stuff.
Right.
And obviously, you get clever bollockses going, well, just get fitter at that weight. Well, the science isn't that simple, because if you reduce your mass, you are going to be able to run. Where do you ever see like a 90 kilo runner? You don't. Do you know what I mean? And yes, of course you can just get fitter, but what's going to be easier for you, to drop weight or to get fitter? Like, what the fuck does that mean? So,
and also, don't genetics have something to play here as well?
yeah,
Like,
I
if
think
you're
so.
somebody that's built a bit leaner,
yeah, no, 100%.
and if that's the biggest you've ever been,
yeah. So it was, yeah. I definitely felt it in hindsight, but it was interesting because my runs were still quite good. But I think as well now, like with the next sort of goal for me, which is the Birmingham half.
Ooh.
Yeah, whoop. I can see in my training for the last few weeks the fact that I have lost weight. I can just feel it in my runs. I just can. I'm just like, this feels like the old Matt. Not that it makes a difference, but even when I was racing at the World Championships, I must have been maximum 82 kilos.
that's a big difference.
Yeah. And then I did loads of strength training and put on loads of weight in my legs and stuff. I mean, you saw that picture when I was like,
I couldn't believe it.
76.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, because I've always kind of known you, I guess, like
Yeah.
this, and then just seeing that picture of you, it was dramatically different.
weird, isn't
what did
it?
you say? What, 76?
Yeah, about 76.
So like over 10 kilograms
Oh, yeah,
difference.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, in three years.
But then, what were your stations like when you were that weight then? Like, what were the sleds like for you?
Yeah, well, this is it. So it's like catch-22. So I always used to struggle on things like lunges.
Yeah.
And I think the sleds haven't changed dramatically, but the sleds were different back then, and they've obviously changed supplier and the carpet and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was always something that I did struggle with. Not a huge amount, but it was. I was like, I need some weight behind me for this.
Yeah.
But
then we've discussed, because I've discussed trying to lose a little bit of weight before I do another Hyrox, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm really strong on the sleds. It's like, yeah, but if I lose 30 seconds on the sleds but gain 20 seconds every run, there's no competition, is there?
No. And this is where the dynamic of like you can see people who like they could run 420 to 430 kilometers, which is, it's not slow, but it's slow for like an elite male if you want to get down to the 60s, but they absolutely tank the stations and they still run a low 60, 62, 63. So it's like you have to pick your poison. Like where do you want to where do you want to go? And I think the hard thing is that if you're in that grey area of like you're not super heavy but you're not super light, you're fairly quick or fairly
kind of good at everything.
Yeah, and kind of just an all round average sort of thing. You can't run hard and do stations hard.
Yeah.
You can if you're super fit. I get it.
Yeah.
But for the average Joe that's trying to race a Hyrox,
The everyday athlete.
yeah, you've got to know where to pick and choose your battles.
So what's your
'Cause you'll
battle?
just die.
What are we choosing?
Well, when I look at like my background and my history and what I'm good at, it's the running I know is where I'm going to get the most time out of it. So for me, it's dropping some weight, and not too much, but enough that I can, it doesn't really matter a kilo, a kilo here or there, but I know I feel comfortable in myself or would be at probably like 85 kilos, because I'm still heavy enough and tall enough to do some damage on the stations, but it will also give me better fitness wise in terms of my running.
Yeah.
Because I know I'll just be able to hold a better pace.
Okay.
Because I mean, 4-5 kilos. It's like you imagine running with like a 5 kilo weighted vest.
It's a lot.
Hyrox.
Yeah.
So,
I'm someone who has like lost a lot of weight in my time, and I remember then doing weighted pull-ups with like 10 kilograms on, and I can do like 2 of them. It's not that exciting. But then being like, being like, this is why I couldn't do pull-ups before, because this is how much I used to weigh.
Don't realise it. Yeah.
Like the perspective of it, it is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's my race.
Are we gonna go again then?
Yes, yeah.
Sick.
I mean, I tried to get Ian to do doubles, but he's not having it.
Like I said, I've learnt some lessons from like a supporter point of view as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I definitely won't be as nice to you next time.
Don't be a pussy. Let's fucking go. Right, let's talk about yours.
Okay, yeah, cool.
I'm excited for this.
Okay, so mine was the day after, which means that, like, bless Matt, we don't get to go out and celebrate. We don't really get to go out and do anything that crazy.
What did we watch on the night before?
Well, we watched the Batmans, didn't we? We did like the
Dark Knight
We did the
trilogy.
trilogy, yeah. So I think the night before mine, we watched the Dark Knight, which is my favourite.
Where is he?
We ate burgers. We ate burgers and chips. And we just sat and had lols, which was really nice. I'm not as good at the like sleep thing as you are, but I had a pretty good night's sleep.
Did you have a good night's sleep?
Yeah, I had a pretty good night's sleep.
Because of all the energy you fucking...
Oh my god, yeah. But you know what as well? Like, I think there's a lot to be said for being there the day before, soaking up the atmosphere, seeing the layout. Because I was coming off the back of... The whole reason I booked Toulouse is that I had really underperformed from what I wanted when I did Madrid. So I really quickly, when I got back from Madrid, booked Toulouse, because I was like, redemption, I need to do this again.
When was Madrid? Early 24?
So that was October. No, that was end of like October 24.
Yeah.
So again, it was like I had a couple of weeks to feel a bit sorry for myself. Maybe not even that. Maybe like a week and a half. And I was like, now we're going to go again. So booked Toulouse again, had like 9 weeks. But because I'd just come off the back of Madrid prep, I'd been prepping for longer. It was like you have a bit of a deload, you chill a little bit, and then you just go again. Yeah. And I could see there were some obvious places where I needed to make improvements. The big one was the rock zone. Big one. And then I was absolutely just petrified of blowing up again. And I mean petrified, because like 5 minutes before the race, so my race a little bit later, so I'm like, ladies is always like a little bit later, because they do the mixed doubles before. So I think I was like a 12:30 kickoff time, which actually works okay for me, because I don't need to get up and like worry about eating super early. I can eat, I can let it settle, and do a lot of stretching and that kind of thing. I prefer to be there. I get nervous if I'm not there. Yeah. So once I'm there, I'm like, okay, I'm here, this is fine.
And you'd obviously seen it the day before, and
Totally. But 5 minutes before, both you and Ian had like a little word with me, actually, because I said to Ian, I was like, if I have the same experience again, if I blow up and it's fucking horrible and I'm holding on and having a horrible time, I ain't doing this again. I actually said that to him. I said, there's no way.
I did not know that.
I'm not putting myself through this again. Like, why am I here?
Wow.
Because that is how horrible it felt in Madrid. And then I said to you came over, and I was like, look at all the shoulders and abs. Like,
look at the rigs on these women.
These women look incredible. And I never get in my head with that stuff. Like, where did this come from? I was like, they look incredible. They look blah, blah, blah. And you said some really useful stuff to me. You were like, it's just another session. It's just like being at the gym. And the thing as well that really stuck with me was, you were like, that first lap, don't even worry about it. Like, because we don't want to go out too fast. We don't want to go out too hard. Just run it, almost treat it like a warm-up. Yeah. And actually, that was golden, to be honest. I'm just going
to let you roll with it.
Set off.
Yeah.
And my biggest goal was don't blow up.
Yeah.
It was like exactly what you're saying about yours is kind of what went right for mine, was just holding it back a bit more. Because then I got into the ski and that went as I wanted it to.
So how did you feel on that first run? Because you pretty much ran what? Because I know it was longer as well, but for a kilometre you were on that 5.
Yeah,
5.
I said I wanted about 5, and they started off at 5s.
Perfect.
And then they kind of slowed down a little bit. I had maybe my legs were a little bit more tired than they should have been. We can explain why in a minute. So that felt really good. Yeah. So actually because I really wanted to improve my rock zone time. I was actually conscious to speed up in the rock zone.
You were moving through that. It was really
I was
good.
trying.
Yeah.
I was really trying. I think I chipped like 4 minutes off my rock zone
that
time.
So insane.
Didn't stop, didn't take water, like not.
Which you had before, right? Yeah.
Oh my God, I was just like, give me the water. But like actually, those guys are dangerous. The water guys are dangerous because they're stopping in front of you.
They're almost telling you to stop.
Yeah. And then there's like the Red Bull.
I don't want to fucking
Who
stop.
the fuck stops for a Red Bull mid Hyrox? Nah, messed up.
Classic fucking heart attack.
So I felt pretty good, got to the ski. The only thing that went slightly wrong with the ski is I thought I was like, yeah, pulled the last one and went to stop.
She pulled you back, didn't
It
she?
stopped at 998.
Oh my God. And we were right there. We were lucky because we saw you come in.
I would thought, because I'm normally pretty good at getting it right, but it stopped at 998. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
So how did you feel on that next run then when you got out of that rock zone?
I think pretty good.
Yeah.
I managed to leg it out the rock zone and then just settle back into a pace, which was really good.
We were watching you and monitoring you. You would bang on that 5 again.
Yeah, when as I walked in, you were like, that one was perfect.
Yeah.
And then when I saw afterwards, I was like, oh, it actually was.
It was, yeah.
Perfect. 5 minutes on the
good.
nose.
Yeah.
Sled push is my strongest station.
Yeah.
Just in and out, smashed it.
Sick.
And then I remember the next run still feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the sled pull.
Can I just say something first, just to caveat it? You were killing it.
I know.
You were doing really well. And go on, I'll let you say the rest.
We actually got to the
Sled push.
and we were like, Matt was like, shit, how many reps has she got left tonight? And then you turned around, you ran off, and Matt was like, shit, what?
Yeah.
It was like 2.5 minutes or something. Like I smashed that sled pull.
Through it.
Smashed it. And then the sled pull, it was feeling so good. I was pulling it, and I just right. Okay, so first of all, the ref was saying something to me in French. And I was like, en anglais? And he was like, oh, and he was stopping me because he thought that my foot was going over the line. Yeah. And I did it again and again and again. I didn't think I was over the line. But he said to me, one more time and I'll give you a penalty.
Fuck.
I was like, shit, okay. So I got to the other end and I was watching my feet really closely. And in hindsight now, that should have been my final rep. So I finished and I looked at my feet and he went, c'est bon. And I thought he was saying, don't worry, your feet are fine.
Yeah.
But what he was actually saying to me was, you're done.
Yeah.
I then leg it down the other end and start pulling the sled again. I was just in the zone.
Yeah.
It felt good. I was in the zone. It's an absolute lesson in you need to stay present, because I was just lost in the movement. And then all of a sudden I'd pulled it maybe a couple of meters, not even that far. And I just hear you and Ian screaming my name. Lead! Lead! I was like, what? And you're going, you've already done what?
I couldn't believe it because obviously you start. Let's say you start like here. If you can see me, I'm pointing to like one side of the room, and it's 4 lengths, right? So you finish
the
on
other
the
end.
other end, and when I saw you at the other end, and I knew you were about to finish, but then you ran down again. Me and Ian looked at each other, and we were like, "How many she done? Like she's done." And we started first trying to get your attention, and then you just kept on because you were like in the zone. You kept on pulling. And then we started fucking shouting at this ref, being like these 2 brummies, like, "Oh, dickhead!"
So just like, as I looked over and you're saying you've done 4, the ref's walking towards me and he's like, "You're done." And so I was like, "Oh shit, okay." So I just went to run off and he stopped me and he's like, "No, you have to finish it now." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And apparently the rule is that if you've started another length, you have to finish it. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So I've only done a few meters. Yeah. Can I just go and pull it back the other way? And he goes, I heard him say something, l'obligation or something like that. And I was like, okay, that must mean this is a rule. And I just had this moment where I was just like, I could argue with him or I could just do it.
Well, this is the beautiful thing about what happened. Like, you reacted. You could have crumbled in that. I'm not going to lie. In my head, I was like, I hope it doesn't, but that's really going to fuck with her.
Yeah.
And the way that when you came out after doing how many pulls?
So I did 6. So I ended up doing 75 metres of sled pull. Yeah.
So that's a good 2.5 minutes off your time anyway.
Yeah.
And then when you were running out of the sled pull...
Well, let's talk about what you guys were doing when I ran out. Because say there's like...
I was about to kick off.
Say there's like a barrier. So guys, you need to get us on the YouTube for this. Because there's like a barrier between, as you're running out of the rock zone, between you and the people that are watching. Yeah. Matt and Ian are both leaning over the barrier, like in the ref's face, like screaming at him. And I think I said to you, let it go.
Yeah, you were so calm.
Let it go. Because I knew it was my fault. Yeah. It might sound like a stupid rule, but what are you going to do? You just have to carry on.
Yeah, honestly, you handled that so well, and you came out and you were like, it's okay, calm down.
But 1, my quads, fuck me. They were so heavy. And 2, I actually think in hindsight, maybe I should have just taken the penalty.
Yeah.
Because like, what if I'd just run off at that point? What would my penalty have been? Do we think?
Oh, do you know what? I don't know.
Exactly, because I reckon it probably cost me like 3 minutes by the time I'd argued, done it again, and then maybe like 30 seconds slower on the next
Because the thing
run.
is, it's not like you've done less.
Yeah.
You did more than
Yeah.
you should have done.
Yeah.
So that they can't really...
I don't know.
I don't think they could have
I just wonder
penalised
if I'd legged it off and they'd penalised me 3 minutes, it probably would have worked out the same and I wouldn't have been as fatigued. Anyway, hindsight. The next run was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. And I actually said to myself, so there's obviously 2 laps. The first lap, I didn't even try and keep a pace. I was just like, just get your legs feeling normal again.
Yeah.
And then kind of picked up the pace. So it was a slow one. I think that was like 5.5 minutes, that one. And then you get to go into the burpee board jumps.
Yes.
Which actually, in terms of station improvement, I'm super proud of. Because I did, 8.5 minutes in Madrid, Ian? I think.
Is that what it was?
I think so. And I did like 6 minutes.
That's crazy.
I just didn't stop.
Paced it really well again.
Paced, yeah. Paced it.
Because there were so many girls who were like going quick for 30 metres, but then absolutely blowing up at like 60.
Yeah.
And you were just going past them at the end. And I remember getting to the end and saying to you, get out.
You screamed at me. Yeah,
get out. Because it's so hard to run after the burpees.
Yeah.
But you smashed
Well, my
it.
extra sled pull, the run, and then burpees.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? I needed that bit. Because if I was going to stop or slow down in a rock zone, it would have been then. So you were at the end, you were like, get the fuck out of the rock zone. I did a little gel.
Yeah.
And then just carried on. And then... Actually, I haven't mentioned this bit. So when I was running after that extra sled pull, there was a girl in front of me, and I'm really good at kind of zoning out what people have got going on. Like you guys have said to me, there were girls that kind of went out really fast, and I was lapping them on the burpees. Didn't even notice. I don't notice that kind of thing. But there was a girl who had a tattoo on the back of her leg that said resilience.
No.
And I was like, that's the universe talking to me right now.
It's like a little gentle reminder.
Resilience, yeah. And then I think
Back end of the race.
At that point, I realised I'm feeling all right. Like my heart rate is around about 170, but I know I can work around about 170. It's when I get around about 175 I start feeling really shit. Yeah. So I just made sure that on each of the runs I was bringing it down into like the high 160s, sitting around about there. And I actually felt, I'm enjoying this. I haven't blown up.
Yeah. You know you're near the end. Yeah.
And I knew in my head as well, even with the sled fuck up, I know, looking at my watch, I'm still faster than last time. So I'm already starting to feel I'm really starting to feel a bit pleased with myself. The farmer, the row is what it is. I use it to bring my heart rate down a little bit. I was on pace for that. The farmers... You just pick them up. And I mean, I definitely could have gone faster. I put it down. I was nursing a bit of a wrist injury going in, and that suddenly started hurting a little bit. I put them down maybe a little bit more than I would have, but I don't think I lost loads of time over it.
And then lunges, going into the lunges.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that before. Same as you, I felt like I was really consistent and moving through them, but it just came out a bit slower than I was expecting. But it was still like a minute and a half faster than I did in Madrid, because that was another one where Ian was walking alongside me in Madrid. And I just kept stopping, and he was like, "You've got to keep moving."
Do you know what? With the lunges, because you've got that weight on your back, even when you stand up, it's such a fucker, because you're just like, it's crushing your, not crushing, but it's putting pressure on your body and your chest, and you're trying to breathe, and you're just like, this fucking thing, this slug's on my neck, like I'm trying to.
I think if you're in the point where you've blown up. It's awful. But actually, I even changed the way I was holding it, and there were points where you only hold it with one hand, and you can shake your other hand off and stuff. And then I think I did a relatively slowish run, maybe 5:15, 5:20 or something. And then you know what? I reckon I smashed the wall balls.
You fucking nailed them. I mean, you were right there, weren't you? And then I joined
you guys were really close. So I was on the end.
Right on the end.
I was on the end station, and they were right next to me, which is really good actually, because if left to my own devices, I definitely will stop for longer.
I was just about to say, like, there were so many girls next to you who were breaking like after 5. Yeah. They were doing sets of 5, but I think where you did well and to get that time as well is because you ploughed through like 20, and then you took a break, and then you did like another 15, and we were like, pick the fucking ball up. Like, and
you know what, that's my favourite thing that you guys said to me, pick the fucking ball up, because like it's just seconds lost. It is. By all means drop it, shake your arms off, but you gotta just keep going.
You had a judge on you, like really Yeah.
So
Talk about that.
I was just doing my wall balls normally, and one of the things that happened to me in Madrid is that the guy was calling me on depth, and I actually know I might have 99 problems, but depth on wall balls is not one of them. So my judge, or whatever they call him, ref, wasn't pulling me, but I could see out the corner of my eye one of the head refs come round and say something to him, like, watch her. So I literally was just like, fuck you, ass to the grass.
I think they do that because they can see you were nailing them, so they're like,
bit harder on you.
Yeah, they want to make sure that you're not fucking
bastards.
Yeah, not cheating.
Bastards.
You'll never see a ref go over to somebody who's struggling.
Yeah.
And be like, excuse me.
And I get it, because they could be there for like an hour and a half. If you're going to be like someone who just doesn't have the range of motion or something like, but yeah. So I kind of knew that was so. I didn't get a single no rep.
How did you feel when you crossed that line and you saw the time?
I was chuffed. I was chuffed because actually I finished 1:29, and that time by itself is still not as fast as I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've got this mental thing in my head of wanting to break 1:20.
Yeah.
But having known what happened with the sled and the improvements I made along the way, and also it just felt like a completely different race.
What is it? It's your
third. I did a double, so it's my second solo.
Second solo. Mate, people are racing 5-6 times a year.
Yeah.
And you know that you can shave. You know, when you think about, let's say, even if you improved your runs by 5-10 seconds a K, plus maybe going a bit harder on the rower, that's another 10-15 seconds, plus the sled pull fuck up.
Yeah, maybe just do what's prescribed.
That's under 125. And then you're only, natural improvements away from that 120.
That's the goal, I think. But like I said,
fucking crazy.
You went nuts.
It's on video as well,
you went nuts. You were so
fucking yes.
Which is really cool, and I think like there's something about having like a real hype crew there as well, which really makes a big difference.
Huge difference.
But yeah, the main thing for me is that it felt completely different.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind that I'd said to Ian beforehand, if this goes badly, I don't want to do it again. Immediately, I was like, let's go again.
You went crazy in the Puma shop.
Oh my god! Yeah, I did.
You were on such a high.
Yeah. No, because like you want to. Yeah, that's what it's classic Lydia though. If I'm chuffed, I'm like, let's spend some money.
It was so nice to see because I could just see how happy you were. You were
I lost my finishes patch.
Yeah. Ian found it though, didn't he?
Put it on my own bag.
Yeah.
I dropped my finishers patch and I was like, shit.
Yeah. Class.
So yeah, a good weekend all round. And then,
it was the weekend in itself was so good. Like race apart, it was so good. Yeah.
So what are we doing now? You mentioned the half marathon already, didn't you?
Yeah, you're doing the half.
We're all doing it, and Ian. We're all doing the Birmingham half.
In spirit.
I'm using it as like a tool to get better at running because I know that's ultimately going to be a thing that's going to improve Hyrox a lot for me. So just in a big run block, which is going well.
Nice. I think when I finished, I really wanted to go again really soon. I think the difficulty with like wanting to travel and getting race tickets.
Oh man, they're all taken.
Yeah.
Like.
So the half marathon was the next best thing, just to try and get some more confidence in my legs. But it just makes me even more excited for like September time
next season.
August. Yeah.
When do you think they're going to start releasing the races?
I think as soon as the World Champs finishes.
Yeah.
Like in June. Is it June? Yeah. They'll be like, give it a month or so. They'll start announcing dates.
Well, because I swear, so last year I did London Olympia in May. I already had tickets at that point to Madrid that was in October.
Really?
Yeah. So like I'm kind of waiting for them to announce it any second.
I don't want to race. I'll be honest. I don't want to race in. I mean, probably the only UK one that I'd love to do is Birmingham.
Yeah, I'd like to do Birmingham.
Just so busy.
I've heard it's super busy and super hot.
It is. 12,000 plus people. It's fucking crazy. It's mayhem.
Yeah. But it would be nice.
It would,
home soil,
yeah.
lots of people around that you know.
I do love the whole little little European.
Use it as an excuse to go and 100%. I love that.
It's way better courses as well.
It was dreamy. It was a beautiful temperature, really well laid out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exciting times. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Just to start.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Cool. Well. Thank you very much for watching, for listening. I hope you found this interesting. If you're racing this season, if you've already raced, let us know how it went for you.
Yep.
If you've got a race coming up, let us know how you're feeling. Drop it in the comments. Yeah. And yeah, we'll
We've got an exciting
guest
coming.
We're filming some cool guests coming up actually, so
yeah.
please do. We're on a momentum again. Stay involved, and see you at the half marathon.
See you later.